All right, we are here. This is the part of the unit where we actually put all of our thoughts and work into writing, which is what this course is about, right? So welcome to Monday morning of week 4. Oh my goodness, I had to scroll down here further than I thought. Week 4 in the course. It goes fast, doesn't it? Okay, so I'm looking at the assignments. You've got 2 assignments due this week. I'm looking at the syllabus view right now in your course, and in red I have a 2-4 and a 2-5. The reason the 2 is there obviously is it's unit 2, and this is our 4th and 5th assignments of this unit, our 2 final assignments. This is pretty typical of how a unit will go. The first week we'll lay some groundwork, maybe with some sort of writing skill. This week we worked on thesis statements. The next week we will read some things that are worthy of discussion, and those things will then eventually feed into our paper the third week of the unit. So that's how the next few units are going. If you like patterns and routines as much as I do, hopefully this works for you. Okay, so what are we doing this week? We're going to take one article. Now, you can take more than one. Some of you will feel like one is not enough, but I don't want it to feel like 2 separate papers. So if you can find 2 articles that you feel like coordinate enough, that deserve a kind of a cumulative look at something, you may do that. It's not extra points for you or extra points taken away from you. There's no penalty. When I offer you options, there's not like this loaded, hey, if you do it that way, that's fine, but it's an automatic lower grade. Now, I don't play those games, okay? So just choose an article, maybe the article that interests you the most, maybe the article that you disagree with the most. Remember that you're thinking in terms of there's 3 ways to react or respond to an article or to an idea. You take the author's argument and you either agree, disagree, or agree with some exceptions. And with the agree with some exceptions, you may disagree with some exceptions as well. Okay? I like to think of it as a yes, but. Kind of like when I'm talking to one of my children and they're trying to position themselves to have an extra privilege, and I'll say, well, yes, I agree with your reason, but okay. So that's that third option. There's no fence sitting. I do not want you to offer to your reader that they can believe a different way than you can. We know that. As readers, we know that we're entitled to our own beliefs. So you don't need to give your reader permission. You don't need to balance both sides. This is not a pro-con. This is your opinion. Now, it is good to to include, for example, if you're disagreeing with the article, an argument in the article, it's okay to include in that, well, while I see what the author is saying with this statement, I disagree because it's, and then you make your statement, all right? So there are ways to kind of give a nod to the opposition without saying what they believe is okay with them, but it's not okay with me. Whatever, that's too relative. So we're not going to be relative, you're going to be absolute in your argument. Part of this is going to be that you're going to have to recognize what the author's argument is. And the argument may not be like a divisive type of argument. It may be, think of argument in terms of the point the author's making. So if you look at the Reichel article about her education as a Jewish woman, you might be saying, you know, inherent in telling her story, she's sort of making an argument about specifically German education and what it left out post-World War II. But maybe you could even see a bigger argument in there and be kind of elaborative on what do we leave out in our education? What did I get in my history books that was very U.S.-centric? We tend to be ethnocentric in our history writing. So it might give you a bigger idea. You might blow the idea up into a bigger argument rather than just narrowing it to the article. Do choose an article that interests you enough to write about it, obviously. So let's go through, and the 2 assignments are the discussion board assignment, which is your peer edit assignment. On this assignment, you can choose either a part of your paper or your whole paper. I strongly suggest that you ask for a specific target for your reader to look at in terms of editing. For example, if I know I'm not a great thesis writer, I might ask my peers, could somebody look at my thesis and make sure it really has an argument and that it's on track with what Nicole is asking us to do? Okay, if I know I'm not maybe I have a habit of always making comma splices or run-ons. Could somebody read this, especially looking for my misuse of commas or my run-on sentences? Okay, so you can have your reader focus. Now, obviously, for this to be the most helpful, you got to get your writing out there earlier. At one point, I used to stagger the due dates in these assignments, and it just got messy. I want this course to be flexible to you, and there are times where I know that the deadline that you get it in on is just the best you can do. But if you could get this paper into the rest of the class, remember, it doesn't have to be your whole paper, just part of it, by Wednesday or something, that would be really helpful to get feedback, because then you have some wiggle room to work and actually edit based on those comments. I've had students come back and say, what I got feedback on my paper literally raised my grade by at least a letter grade, and I would concur from what I would see come in on the discussion board, and then I would see how they would recraft their paper based on those comments. It was amazing. And I think it also is very encouraging and confidence building, because you've already said, some of you, well, when I noticed what other people were writing about, it made me assured that I'm on the right track, or it made me question if I'm on the right track. And either way, it has some good productive ends for you, because you're evaluating what you're doing and ultimately raising your grade. So, not that this is just about grades. I want this to really be part of your writing process and your journey as a writer. And so, again, I really have a high value for peer editing, and that's what 2.4 is this week. 2.5 is your final draft. You do not need to put your final draft into the discussion board. Final draft only comes to me. And my phone's ringing in the background, kind of crazy morning here. With that, I'm going to let you go. If you have questions on this paper, I know it's the first paper, let me know. Do read through the course content. It gives you some ideas for how to organize this paper, okay? Talk to you later.